Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that your entire life has been shaped by something you've never even seen. Not your parents, not society, not your past, but your own brain, every memory you trust, every fear you carry, every opinion you defend, every person you love, every decision you make. They all pass through an invisible filter inside your mind before you ever become aware of them. The terrifying part? You don't experience reality as it is. You experience reality as your brain decides you should. Right now, your brain is deleting information, filling in missing details, changing memories, predicting the future, and creating a version of the world that feels completely real, and you never notice it happening. So here's the question. If your brain has the power to rewrite reality without your permission, then how do you know that anything you believe is actually true? Tonight, we're going to uncover one of the greatest secrets in neuroscience. Because once you discover how your brain secretly changes reality, you'll never see yourself or the world the same way again. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that everything you've believed your entire life wasn't completely true. The people you trust, the memories you cherish, the fears that keep you awake at night, and even the person you believe yourself to be may not be exactly as they seem. What if I told you that your brain doesn't simply observe reality, it quietly edits it? Every second of every day, your brain filters information, fills in missing details, changes memories, predicts what will happen next, and creates a version of the world that feels completely real. The most shocking part is that you never notice it happening. So here's the question. If your brain can rewrite reality without your permission, how can you ever be certain that what you believe is actually true? Tonight, we're going to uncover one of the greatest mysteries in neuroscience. And once you understand how your brain secretly changes reality, you'll never look at your own thoughts the same way again. For centuries, people believed that the human brain worked like a camera. If your eyes saw something, it had to be true. If your ears heard it, it had to be real. If you remembered an event clearly, then it must have happened exactly that way. It sounds logical because our senses are the only way we experience the world. But modern neuroscience has completely challenged this idea. Scientists now know that your brain is not a recording device, it is a prediction machine. Every second, your eyes collect only small pieces of visual information. Your ears capture incomplete sounds. Your skin feels limited sensations. Your brain then combines all of this incomplete data with your memories, beliefs, emotions, and expectations to build what you experience as reality. In other words, you never experience the world exactly as it is. You experience the version your brain creates for you. Every human eye has a blind spot where the optic nerve connects to the retina. In that tiny area, there are no light-sensitive cells at all. Technically, there should be a small hole in everything you see. You've never noticed it because your brain automatically fills in the missing information. It looks at the surrounding colors, shapes, and patterns, and simply invents what should be there. You believe you're seeing reality, but in truth, your brain is constantly editing it behind the scenes. This happens so smoothly that it feels completely natural. The same process shapes the way you experience fear. Imagine walking home alone late at night, when you suddenly hear footsteps behind you. Your heart starts racing, your breathing becomes faster, and your muscles tighten. Within seconds, your brain begins imagining possible dangers. But a few moments later, you turn around and discover it's just another person walking home. Nothing dangerous ever existed. So why did your body react as though it did? Because your brain wasn't waiting for proof, it was making a prediction. Throughout human evolution, it was safer to mistake a harmless sound for danger than to ignore a real threat. Survival depended on reacting quickly, even if the brain was sometimes wrong. That ancient survival system still exists inside every one of us today. This predictive nature doesn't only affect fear, it shapes every emotion you experience. Imagine receiving a simple message from your boss that says, "Can we talk tomorrow?" One person immediately becomes anxious, convinced they're about to lose their job. Another person smiles, assuming it's about a new opportunity. The message never changed. Reality stayed exactly the same. The only thing that changed was the story each brain created. This is because your emotions are not direct reactions to reality, they're reactions to your brain's interpretation of reality. Perhaps the greatest illusion your brain creates involves memory. But scientists have discovered something completely different every time you remember an event. Your brain reconstructs it from scattered pieces rather than replaying an exact recording. Each memory is rebuilt using your current emotions, beliefs, experiences, and expectations. That means your memories slowly change over time. Small details disappear. New details appear, our feelings become stronger or weaker. Eventually, you can become absolutely convinced something happened exactly one way. Even though reality was very different, your confidence in a memory doesn't guarantee its accuracy. It only shows how convincing your brain's reconstruction has become. This explains why two siblings raised in the same home often describe completely different childhoods. One remembers endless love and support, the other remembers loneliness and criticism. It's the same house, the same parents, the same years. It's completely different realities. Neither person is necessarily lying. Each brain simply focused on different experiences, interpreted events differently, and built a unique story about the past. Reality entered through the senses, but meaning was created inside the mind. The same thing happens when we think about ourselves. Every person carries an invisible story inside their head. Some believe they're intelligent. Others believe they're failures. Some believe they're lovable, while others secretly feel they'll never be enough. These stories often begin with just a few emotional experiences during childhood. Over time, your brain starts collecting evidence to support those beliefs, while quietly ignoring anything that contradicts them. Psychologists call this confirmation bias. Once the brain accepts an idea as true, it naturally begins filtering reality to protect that belief. Every click, every like, every search teaches algorithms what captures your attention. Slowly, they begin showing you more of the same. If you constantly watch negative news, your brain starts believing the world is becoming more dangerous than ever. If you only see perfect lives online, your brain begins believing everyone else is happier than you. Two people living in the same city can open the same app and experience two completely different worlds. Each believes they're seeing reality when in fact they're seeing a carefully filtered version designed specifically for them. Understanding this doesn't mean your brain is broken. Quite the opposite. It's one of the most extraordinary survival machines ever created. Processing every single detail in the world would require impossible amounts of energy. So your brain simplifies, predicts, edits, and fills in gaps to help you survive. Most of the time, these shortcuts are incredibly useful. But sometimes they also create anxiety, misunderstandings, prejudice, unnecessary fear, and emotional pain. The problem isn't that your brain creates stories. The problem begins when you mistake those stories for absolute truth. Once you realize this, something remarkable happens. You begin questioning your own thoughts instead of automatically believing them. You stop assuming every fear represents real danger. You stop treating every memory as perfect evidence. You become curious about your own mind. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" you begin asking, "Is this reality? Or is this simply how my brain is interpreting reality?" That single question can completely transform the way you think, feel, and live. Maybe that's the greatest lesson neuroscience has ever taught us. The world around you may not change overnight, but the moment you understand that your brain is constantly shaping your reality, you gain something incredibly powerful, the ability to step outside your automatic thoughts and see them for what they truly are. Because true freedom doesn't come from controlling the world. It comes from understanding the mind through which you experience it. So the next time you're absolutely certain about a memory, the next time fear tells you something terrible is about to happen, the next time anger convinces you someone is against you, pause for just a moment. Take a breath and ask yourself one simple question. Is this reality? Or is this my brain's version of reality? That question alone has the power to change everything. Because the day you stop believing every story your mind tells you, it's the day you begin seeing the world and yourself with greater clarity than ever before. There's another question that completely changes the way we think about reality. If your brain is constantly editing the world around you, why would evolution create such an imperfect system? Wouldn't it make more sense for the brain to show reality exactly as it is? Surprisingly, the answer is no. Evolution never cared about perfect truth. It cared about survival. Imagine two ancient humans walking through a forest. One notices movement in the bushes and immediately assumes it's a predator. He runs away. The other carefully analyzes the situation before reacting. If the movement was only the wind, the first person wasted a little energy. But if it was a hungry lion, the second person may never get another chance. Over millions of years, natural selection rewarded brains that reacted quickly rather than perfectly. Your brain was designed to keep you alive, not to show you objective reality. This explains why fear often feels stronger than logic. Have you ever worried about something for days only to discover that nothing bad actually happened? Maybe you convinced yourself someone was angry with you because they didn't reply to a message. Maybe you imagined failing an important interview before it even began. Maybe you spent sleepless nights thinking about a future that never arrived. The brain constantly predicts possible dangers because prediction once increased the chances of survival. Unfortunately, in the modern world, that same system often creates anxiety instead of protection. Your brain doesn't wait for reality to happen. It tries to experience tomorrow's problems today. And many of those imagined problems never become real. Another fascinating example is something psychologists call the placebo effect. Imagine two patients suffering from the same illness. One receives real medicine. The other receives nothing more than a sugar pill, believing it's real treatment. Surprisingly, the second patient's brain often begins reducing pain, lowering stress, and even activating healing processes simply because it expects improvement. Nothing changed in reality. The medicine wasn't real. But the brain's belief changed the body's response. Expectations alone altered physical experience. If belief can reduce pain, imagine how many other parts of reality are influenced by what your brain expects to happen. The opposite effect is just as powerful. Scientists call it the nocebo effect. If a person strongly believes something harmless will hurt them, the brain can actually create real symptoms. Headaches, nausea, dizziness, even pain despite there being no genuine physical danger. Once again, reality itself hasn't changed. Only the brain's interpretation has. This shows just how deeply your mind influences your body. Your brain doesn't simply observe reality. Sometimes it creates experiences that feel completely real, even when the outside world remains unchanged. Now think about confidence. Two people may have exactly the same intelligence, skills, and opportunities. Yet one believes they will succeed, while the other believes they will fail. Over time, those beliefs begin shaping their actions. The confident person speaks more, takes more opportunities, learns from mistakes, and keeps trying. The fearful person hesitates, avoids challenges, and gives up more easily. But in many cases, their brains quietly helped create those outcomes long before reality ever caught up. This is one reason psychologists say your expectations often become self-fulfilling prophecies. This invisible process also explains why first impressions are so powerful. Within seconds of meeting someone, your brain starts building. Is a story? Friendly? Dangerous? Intelligent? Untrustworthy? Attractive? Arrogant? These judgments happen automatically because the brain hates uncertainty. It prefers quick answers over incomplete information. But those first impressions are often based on tiny details like facial expressions, tone of voice, clothing, posture, or even previous experiences with similar-looking people. Before you've truly met someone, your brain has already begun deciding who they are. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's completely wrong. Yet because those judgments feel so natural, we rarely question them. Perhaps the most dangerous illusion your brain creates is the illusion of certainty. Human beings love feeling certain because certainty creates psychological comfort. But reality is rarely simple. Most situations contain countless unknowns. The brain dislikes uncertainty so much that it often invents explanations just to make the world feel predictable. This is why rumors spread so quickly. This is why conspiracy theories attract millions of people. This is why we sometimes believe confident people, even when they're completely wrong. The brain would rather have a simple answer than admit it doesn't know. But here's where everything begins to change. The moment you understand that your brain is constantly interpreting reality instead of merely recording it, you become mentally free. You stop reacting automatically to every thought. Stop assuming every emotion is a fact. You begin questioning your own certainty. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What story is my brain creating right now?" That single habit can completely transform the way you experience stress, relationships, failure, and even success. The greatest thinkers in history shared one remarkable quality. They weren't simply intelligent. They were willing to question their own minds. They understood that confidence doesn't guarantee truth. Certainty doesn't guarantee accuracy. And thoughts don't automatically represent reality. They remained curious, even about themselves. Because the moment you stop questioning your brain quietly becomes your reality. Maybe that's why understanding the mind is one of the greatest adventures a human being can ever take. Because every discovery about the brain isn't just a discovery about science, it's a discovery about yourself. Perhaps the most extraordinary realization of all is this: the world you've been experiencing your entire life has never been reality alone. It has always been reality, translated by your brain.